The left has been ripping Senator Tim Scott last week for being the only black person in that photograph in the tax bill celebration. They have seriously overlooked the work that he and his colleagues put into place to address the issue of poverty. And that's why I brought back John Burnett, because, John, you understand, you've been meeting with some administration officials on this Investing Opportunity Act that Tim Scott worked on for a long time with the folks like Cory Booker, Gardner from Colorado, folks across the aisle. And tell us how this ended up being part of the tax bill.
Well, Senator Scott went to President Trump to give him an overview of the Investment Opportunity Act. And, you know, President Trump, he's a smart, successful businessman. He understood the tremendous value that the bill would actually bring to the urban distressed areas. And he said, you know what, we're going to make it part of our tax reform bill, tax cut bill. So it was folded into the overarching GOP tax bill. And you know what, Charles? It hasn't been getting a lot of credit.
This is something, if Cory Booker, honestly, if there was a Democratic president, Cory Booker put this in there, he'd have been elevated to next in line for the presidency. I mean, this is the kind of thing where, and it's not just urban, though. This is what I like about this. As you go back last year, when Tim Scott started talking about this, he had Dan Sullivan come on, and he talked about how it would help the local area. There was no infrastructure. Plywood costs $100, milk costs $20, all because it's so hard to get this stuff to them. Steve Daines from Montana, he talked about Indian country. He said the Northern Cheyenne, unemployment at 56%, the Blackfeet Reservation at 75%. This isn't just about urban America. It's about rural areas. And if you remember the Great Society, when Lyndon Johnson signed that in, the first place he went was to Appalachia. He took a walking tour to Appalachia. Appalachia hasn't changed much, except it might be worse with the opioid epidemic. So to have Tim Scott and others focus on this is absolutely remarkable.
Absolutely. You know what? We're finally at a point where we're passing legislation that is pro-growth and outside of government control. So what do I mean by that? One of the main points of this bill is that it takes the power outside of D.C. D.C., of course, sets the guidelines for the opportunity funds through the Treasury. However, each governor will have the latitude to define what areas are distressed in their state. And like you said, it'll be some areas in the urban metropolitan centers as well as the rural areas. Then the tax breaks are phenomenal. It's private capital. They're incentivizing private capital to invest into the fund, and the the capital gains are deferred from 5 to 10 years.
Right. So it's attractive to private investment. It's not government controlled.
And no tax dollars.
And it will focus on local economies that need it and that have not gotten it for many, many years.
Without gentrifying it.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.